Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a brand new EDC Fixed Blade coming from Knife Standards. This is the RR Station Fix TI. Comes with a carbon fiber looking kydex. I love the fact that he made it a minimal kydex, so it keeps it nice and streamlined. It has a belt clip attachment, and if I'm gonna have one from the OEM, this is the one I like. Carry it vertical if I like. I can cant it off the body if I want. I can carry it scout carry. It's very easy to do. And if you want it to be locked in there, you can tighten up both screws and lock it in. You could also put an ulti-clip on there. You know, if I come up with the funds to get one, that's what I'm going to be doing. Nice little push off right there. Nice positive click. No rattle right here. The OEM on this is Best Tech Knives. They do a really good job with their OEM stuff. For me, this is the perfect size for EDC at 7.04 inches overall. It has a 3.3 inch blade, and this one is in Vanax Superclean steel. I don't think I have any other EDC fixies in Vanax. I love Vanax because it's a nitrogen-based steel, so you're not going to have to worry about it rusting at all. And you're not going to have to worry about this one rusting in general because you have your Vanax blade steel, full tang construction. You have titanium, which doesn't rust, and titanium hardware that doesn't rust. I'm hoping that the barrel spacers that these go into are titanium. I don't know that for certain. I will have to ask him. If I find that out before this, I'll put it up here. You have a beautiful belt satin finish here on this flat grind. And if you look right here, it comes down nice and thin. So this is going to be a great slicer, great performer, excellent utility blade shape there. You can manipulate that tip to make very fine, intricate cuts rather easily. And you have a pretty acute tip there to make those detailed cuts with. You have a blasted fuller on both sides, which I don't mind the blasting on Vanax because you're not going to have to worry about that rusting. And you have your blade steel on this side. And on this side, you have the RR script that you see from Knife Standards. You have pretty much a three-tone blade finish because you have a vertical belt satin here. Then you have a fine brushed horizontal satin on your flats. And then you have this blasting right here. Gives it a nice contrast and it dances well in the light. You can look down here. That's nice. You got a nice brushed satin finish on the spine. You got a nice long row of functional jimping that does a perfect job of gripping the thumb. And you have the ATR on the spine as well. Your sharpening choil is absolute perfection. You're going to have the life of this knife. Look, the plunge grind is pulled all the way back. You're going to have all the way to right here before you have to worry about it thickening it up at the plunge. And plus, even after that, if you sharpen all that away, you can sharpen straight up and you'll be good to go. So excellent job there. Like I said a little while ago, you have titanium scales with these deep chamfers on both sides that gives it a feeling of being contoured in the hand. So, you know, it's pretty much contoured. It's just contoured with large chamfers. And they've done a good job of knocking off any sharp edges where these chamfers stop. You even have a little beveled section on the very back right there, so you don't have any sharp spots. You have his signature squared hardware there. And the only thing that I did notice, and I mean, being this is a prototype, we're just going to do a detailed overview of the knife. But one thing I noticed, and it may not be an issue at all, but you have this little choil area right here. So if you choke back, you're nice and comfortable. I can still get a 4-finger grip with my medium-sized hands, but you also can come up right here in this sharpening choil area. However, the way it comes down and stops right here and then drops off, it feels kind of funny in hand. I don't know if it'd be an issue or not. You know, I don't think it would be an issue, but it does feel a little awkward whenever you're in the hammer grip. Not uncomfortable, just a little awkward. Almost think it would have been better to not even have the choil right here and just have this kind of round over into that. Or not even, like I said, just have this come straight. That way when you're choked up, you don't have, you know, fingers straddling that choil area. But like I said, I don't think it's going to hurt the functionality whatsoever. So is it really a big deal? You also had those chamfers up here in the front. And you have the number 1 for the number 1 prototype. Everything is perfectly mated together. No high spots anywhere. Very, very well done. Close my eyes. I can't feel any transitions. I'm usually not a lanyard guy, but I do kind of like them on my EDC Fixed Blades. I think it would have been cool to have one at the butt of the knife right here, so you don't really see it. It keeps this nice and clean without putting a hole in here. But if you wanted to tie a lanyard, say if you have huge meat hooks and you needed a little bit more extra handle, you could. Or if you want to choke back, you could. If you want to do a little light chopping. But I don't think this one's really meant for that. Like I said, this flat grind comes down nice and thin. And it looks like it's coming down about 14 thousandths behind the edge. So it should be a great slicer as long as it's sharp. All right, let's check the weight without the sheath first. It's coming in at 3.88 ounces. Not bad at all. I was thinking it would be a little heavier because of the titanium scales. With the sheath and the belt clip attachment, 6.17. Not bad. If I'm carrying this on my belt, that's not an issue for me at all. Because of the titanium scales, the balance point is going to be back some. That's understandable. It's not terrible or anything. They must have some skeletonization underneath these scales, if I had to take a wild guess. Now time for some quick size comparisons. It's very similar in overall length to the Viper Knives Handy 2, and it's just a little longer than the Axial Gear Alpine V2. And as you can see, it's a good bit shorter than the Vero Axon Fixed Blade, and it's just a hair shorter than the BMKT Field Spec Explorer. And it's just a hair shorter than my BP Custom Fixed Utility Knife. And it's just a hair longer than my Griffin Co. X Series EDC Fixie. Just a hair longer than the White River Knives M1, and it's a decent bit bigger than the Essie Azula. And lastly, it's a good bit smaller than the Ontario Rat 1, and it's very similar in length to the Ontario Rat 2. Now, we all know no knife's perfect. What are my nitpicks and complaints? Personally, I would have loved to see a lanyard spot on the butt end of the knife, just so you wouldn't have a hole here, but if you want to put a lanyard there, you could. And just by feeling alone, I didn't do any testing with it, so it's hard for me to say if it would cause any issues or not, but I think it would have been more comfortable to not even have the choil right there, so you could choke all the way up right there and not be straddling it. But you could choke back also. A lot of times I'm using these in a pinch grip or hammer grip. However, you know, if I'm going to use it in the hammer grip, I'm going to choke up so I don't get hung up in that area. But other than that, this is a very well-dialed, good-looking, premium, rust-proof EDC Fixed Blade. These are available right now for pre-order on his site, which will be linked down below. The pre-order price is $300 for everything that you see here. And then after the pre-order, it's going to go up to $330. Do I think the $300 is warranted here? I definitely do. Because those two, the Vero I showed earlier was more than that with M390 steel and I think just micarta scales. And there's a lot of them, you know, that are in MagnaCut, so they have the excellent corrosion resistance. And some of the Veros have tie scales. I don't know if he has any MagnaCut Fixed Blades yet. I'm not sure. The Malin may be, but I think that one's still M390. However, you know, I don't think $300 is a bad price for a premium, rust-proof, high-performance EDC Fixed Blade. I would definitely love to see him do a budget version of this in 14C, so you could have excellent corrosion resistance steel and micarta. I think that'd be fantastic. Ooh, and drop a hollow grind on it. That would be even better. They still got this one down nice and thin, so I'm good with it. So I'd love to hear y'all thoughts on this. Has anybody got in on the pre-order yet? Anybody planning on getting in on the pre-order? I know if I can come up with the money while this pre-order is still live, I will definitely be getting one. Just coming at a bad time because I'm broke. I got to do knife sales for Blade Show, or it'll be an uneventful Blade Show as far as purchasing power. But the real fun of Blade Show is meeting y'all guys and girls and hanging out with the friends I've made along the way. All right, guys and girls, that's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep those blades sharp, smile more,